As you know, Marvin Sapp, pastor of Chosen Vessel, I think in Fort Worth, Texas. He was on. He went on the Rickey Smiley show. He put out a statement, and I did a video about that. He put out a statement on Facebook, but I think he was continuing to get backlash, and because of that backlash, he decided to go on the Rickey Smiley morning show just on Monday. We're going to react to that interview. My question for everybody listening and coming into the chat room today is that are you buying what he's saying? Do you think it's just a matter of doing damage control? One of the things that I want to say that I think is not appropriate is that do not threaten this man and his family, because that's what I'm fixing something back here. Don't trip, everybody. When you go live, see, everything is organic. He said on the Rickey Smiley show, that his family had been getting death threats, that he doesn't read all of his social media because he has millions of people that follow him, but his kids do. And I'm going to say this right now, even if some of us don't agree with the style in which he was soliciting money. And I got a doozy for you today, everybody, because I did some research on this, what do they call themselves? The Pentecostal, I think it's Pentecostal, the Pentecostal Assembly of the World. That is the organization that he didn't want to name the organization on the Rickey Smiley show. He kept saying he wanted to keep, but if this is the organization, it's the Pentecostal Assembly of the World, the PAW, and they have conventions, international Christian conventions and conferences every year. Guess where the next one's going to be? New Orleans, right? Louisiana. I did a little bit of deep dive because remember in my previous video, I kept saying to myself, why are they asking people in the audience to collect $20 from them? They collected $100 from the pastors, and the whole idea was that they needed $40,000. I think originally Marvin Sapp said it was $20,000 that they were looking for, and then they upped it to $40,000. Now he admits on the Rickey Smiley morning show, I don't know why I'm having a problem with that first name, Rickey Smiley. He admitted that he didn't know exactly how much they raised, but that was the goal. That he got raked over the coals when he kept telling the ushers to lock the door. Y'all remember this, right?
Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors.
Not lock the door, but close
the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place.
All right, right there. That's where he said, ushers, close the door. He's gonna get into that on the Rickey Smiley show. But my question to everybody, when I did a deep dive on my research, I realized and found out, you know what? Woo! You know what I found out? I was correct. Those people paid a nice little price to go to this convention. Not to mention, well, you know how most conventions are. If you get the early bird, you get a cheaper registration price. After the early bird registration, everything goes up, right? But then I start saying, this happened in the Baltimore. What's going on, the Informant Media? Make sure y'all check out his channel. The brother's doing some great work over there. One of the things I looked at, everybody, is that this happened at the Baltimore Convention Center. Baltimore Convention Center. I happen to be born in Baltimore, have family in Baltimore, and I did some deep dive research. No, well, not that deep dive, but deep dive enough. And in terms of the cost of hotels and motels in the area, and it's kind of expensive, especially if you're throwing, I mean, they're charging you a pretty hefty price per day, right? This convention goes on for about 4 days. So the one that's coming up this year in New Orleans is going to go from June 4th into June 7th. And then, of course, I looked at their website, and you know how these conventions are. You may pay a registration fee, but then you may have to pay for other types of events. other events that they're having at the convention. Some events are free, some stuff you got to still pay for. So what I'm saying is, he kept saying on the Rickey Smiley show that he was raising money for them to be able to make their administrative budget for the convention. And I'm saying to myself, but these folks that travel to this convention already were paying a healthy price in terms of registration, in terms of hotel. They have to pay for their own food, obviously. Maybe there's some food that is provided to them. So I'm wondering, could this have happened because they didn't get a large crowd of people? Because like I said in a previous video, a lot of people are starting to turn away from Christianity, or no, let me say this, not Christianity, but from the black church in general, because they're not feeling, specifically black men. And I'm going to play a video from Jamal Bryant, who I know he's got issues. He's got a history of messing around with women in his congregation. But he brought up a good point here. Since he put out a stat in terms of black men not involving themselves in the black church. So let's get into this. Let's figure this all out. I want to get your feedback here today as to how you feel about this issue. Do you think that he was sincere in what he was saying? You're going to see him sort of say, hey, I've worked hard all my life. I ran a church in Michigan that I never got money off of. You know, you're going to hear him saying a lot about that. You're going to hear him saying a lot about how he made most of his money as a gospel artist. He's sold millions and millions of music rings on phones and music all around the world. And it's made him sort of comfortable that he doesn't need the money that people thought he was raising for him, for himself. Or some people just didn't like the idea that the way it went down with telling people, you got to come off some money here. We're going to get into this. But before we get into this, let me give you all some education here about this organization that he was raising money for. This is the picture inside the auditorium of the convention center that they were using in Baltimore, Maryland. Okay. And it doesn't look like it was, they said there was about 4,000 people there. So I guess that's pretty good. It just didn't look like the whole room was filled, but there's people sitting way back in the back. But let me give you all a reminder of what this is all about. Rickey Smiley brought him on the show after putting out this means just this week. Check this out again as a reminder.
And just tell you why this bothered me. I understand everybody have an opinion on tithes and offering and how it was done. But here's the problem with that. One thing I hate lies. And I hate liars.
You hear what he just said? He hates liars. He hates lies. Let's hear some more of Rickey Smiley. Let's hear some more.
Y'all know damn well that man didn't say nothing about lock.
I said, close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
The word lock means don't let in, don't let out. Close means you can go out if you want. The pastor asks you not to go out. And if you choose to go out, you can go out. Or if you snatch the door and the ushers at the door, you can go in. Okay? Y'all told a damn lie. You love to get on, you love to tap people down by lying on them and without clear context. Nobody from that church or that was in that congregation complained. And every pastor that I seen or talked to didn't have no.
I wanted to stop it right there just for a moment because this is a very logical question I'm asking everybody. How does Rickey Smiley of the Rickey Smiley Show, how does this comedian know exactly who in that room out of the 4,000 people, how does he not know who in that room was a little uncomfortable with the situation? Did he talk to all 4,000 of the people in the room? Remember, Rickey Smiley has a relationship with Marvin Sapp. That's why he brought him on the show. And the interview that he gave him was sort of, I think it was personally damage control. That's his friend. Rickey Smiley's a very religious guy. So he felt some kind of way about people criticizing Sapp's approach. And maybe, just maybe, after I play the actual interview or parts of it, maybe all of you will come away with a different perspective about Marvin Sapp's, right? Maybe you'll say, you know what? It wasn't that bad what he did after all, you know? Because I'm going to say again, nobody should be threatening this man's family. Nobody should be threatening this man. I mean, we know we have been raped over the coals by preachers over the years, but nobody should be threatening this man you see on the screen right here, Marvin Sapp. Nobody should be threatening his family, his kids, or anything. I don't agree with that. I don't subscribe to that. We do have a right to criticize the church. We do have a right to criticize the approach that he took. It may not have been the best approach. We do have that right. Let's continue on.
Issue with it. You took one clip and made whatever you wanted to make out of, which was a damn lie. Because Locke is kidnapped. Close the door. And let me say this right here. And I said this on the radio show. This is what I said on the radio show. Stop lying on people. Stop talking. Look at all the blogs and all of the stories talking about he said lock the door. He didn't say no damn lock. And you a lie and a dog. And you a dog for lying. I'm gonna follow y'all. I said you a lie and you a dog. And you just lied. Cause locking the door and closing the door. And let me add this. There are certain part of the church service that is sacred, where the doors are supposed to be closed. Tithes and offering, when someone is praying, when the pastor is taking his text, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, during a baptismal, but there are certain parts of the church service that's, damn. Yeah, sorry about that. There are certain parts of the church service that is sacred, and the doors are supposed to be closed. Hey.
All right, everybody, there we go. All right. So there we go. That's his perspective. Everybody in the chat, do you believe that Rickey Smiley was very biased in his approach? Because he said, now he did give us an education that the doors are supposed to be closed, or are supposed to be closed during this situation. But then, because it's a common thing that you do, is you close the doors, right? Secure the room. However, you're going to hear Marvin Sapp say that the real reason, well, not the real reason, but he said he made mention that one reason why doors were closed too is because there's been a issue with pastors being robbed across the country. Now, I don't know how much you all know about this in the chat room, but let it be known if you know this. I mean, the last time I heard about a pastor being robbed in his church, it was that jack-a-leg preacher out there in Brooklyn, that Bishop Whitehead, who was caught in scandal, had a history of robbing his petitioners, right? In terms of running scams on them. He had a history of being in and out of prison, or in prison, running a slumlord apartment out there in the East Coast, right? Wearing all that jewelry, all that flashy jewelry, saying that he was cool with Mayor Adams. And you see what happened to Bishop Whitehead, riding them cars and all that bling, 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 and he got robbed. Now, that made national news. How often in the chat room do you hear about just regular preachers in churches getting robbed? I haven't heard it. When was the last report that we've heard about a church getting robbed that went national? Now, have churches been robbed? Yes. Can churches get robbed? Yes. Is a church or has a church been robbed that we just didn't hear about, didn't make the news? Right. But you got Rickey Smiley on the one hand saying that it's commonplace to keep the door closed. And in the interview, Marvin Sapp reinforces the fact that another reason why they wanted those doors closed is because pastors have been robbed in their church. They're concerned that somebody was going to come in and stick them up. There's going to be 2 stick-up kids like this that are going to come into the church and say, give me the money. Give me the $40,000. Give me the money. Give me the money. Is this what they were concerned with, everybody? That was going to happen after that Bishop Whitehead? And Bishop Whitehead, in my opinion, I think that happened to him because he was flashy, and that man has gotten over on people. He's in prison now. So I'm just wondering if that could be part of the concern based on that incident, because he's going to say that a lot of pastors are being robbed in churches. Everybody in the chat room, when was the last report since Bishop Whitehead of a pastor being robbed? Have we ever heard of any major pastors being robbed? A klepto dollar, right? For example, who certainly is flying in luxury, right? Driving luxury cars. Have we heard of any of these mega preachers getting robbed? No, we haven't. That's right. That's right, Informant Media. We have not. That's my whole point today, that we're not hearing about preachers and churches being robbed left and right. It hasn't become an epidemic in our... Now, we certainly have heard of black churches being set on fire by racists, white supremacists, or people that think they're supreme. We certainly have heard that. But let me now get into this, because I just wanted to set this up because to let you know that Rickey Smiley was biased in his opinions and his thoughts in this whole situation. And I understand. It's his friend. It's his buddy. And so that's why I put on the thumbnail that I thought it was damage control to change the narrative. But I once again must say, no matter how you feel about Pastor Marvin Sapp, please don't be threatening his family. Don't be threatening him. If that is really happening, people should squash that. Don't do that. Don't take it that far. If that's really what's happening here, don't take it to that level. So with that said, let's get into this. Let's see what this is all about as he goes on the Rickey Smiley show and says his part of the story about what really happened. Let me know in the comment section of this video, in the chat room, if you're buying what he's going to be saying, if you believe in him, you believe in his point of view about what went down in that whole situation. If you think this is just we on social media blowing this whole thing out of proportion, and maybe it's just because we've been burned in the past believing in preachers and believing in the church. And I think Marvin Sapp is going to speak to some of this. And also let me know in the chat room too, if you guys want me to keep coming with the pre-produced videos, if you really like that format. And I am still going to do live streams. Let me know too in the comment section or even in the chat room. And I appreciate all of you here. Blue Devil Gleam, I see you here. I see everybody that's here. Thank you for coming over. Let's go ahead and let's play some of this right now, this interview. Bear with me right now. I'm just setting everything up. I think it's all good to go. And here we go, everybody. Here's how it starts.
Give $40,000 and I wouldn't allow them to leave until they gave it to me. And to be honest with you, that is absolutely false.
Yeah.
Number one, that offering was taken last year. This was a service that happened last August.
Right. He's right about that. I looked it up. This was last August. Okay. In Baltimore, Maryland. And man, what did I want? Let me set the stage here for something that I want to put up. I'm going to get to it. Don't worry, folks. I'm going to get to that, to what he's saying. But I want to set the stage for something here. Let me put this up here real quick. Remember I talked about the money that these organizations earn? And I'm going to get to that. This is what I'm going to do. Let Marvin talk for a while. And when he talks about the money, when he gets to all of that, I want to give you a reminder of how much money these churches earn. And I also want to give you an estimated of how much money the Pentecostal Worldwide, this organization that he was trying to raise money for, this organization that has this international conference. I'm going to show you, or at least tell you, based on my research, what they're taking in annually, which is why I think people raised their eyebrows when they were asking for this money and how much the cost, again, for the convention and the potential expenses that could be involved in this as well. Let's get back to this. Let me just stick with this, let this play some time, and then go from there.
Number two, it didn't happen at my local church. It actually happened at a national organization's international meeting where churches from all over the country, all over the world came together for the purpose of celebrating the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. People took issue with me saying, shut the doors. Understand, I never said lock the doors.
Yeah. But to the restaurant. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
I said, shut the doors. Shutting doors mean that people still have the ability to go in and out. They've taken issue with my tone. And I can honestly say, you know, looking at the video, maybe I was a little more assertive than I should have been. And I can apologize for that. You know, I can apologize for that. But three things I need to make sure that people understood. Number one, the $40,000, if it was $40,000 that was raised, was never given to me. That money was raised for the purpose of taking care of the budget for their conference.
So that's what he's saying right there, that the $40,000, because I guess there were people on social media that were saying that he was collecting that money for himself. You're going to hear him say that he's making enough money to support himself and his family, and he's doing very well with the music that he's put out over the years. But he's saying that the money was not for himself. Now, he said that the money was raised, right? He asked for $20 from folks in the audience, right? Folks in the audience, the people that came to the convention. He said, hey, bust us off $20. To the for the other preachers that were there, he asked the preachers once again to give up $100. Okay? Now, this is very important that I show you something right here. Let me put this up right here. Boom. Determining the exact annual revenue of the Pentecostal Assembly of the World Incorporated, PADW, is challenging due to limited public availability of financial data. You know why? Because these church organizations that take in a lot of money, y'all, don't have to report a lot of stuff because they got tax exemption. Me and you don't have tax exemption. As a religious organization, the PAW is not required to file Form 990 with the IRS, resulting in a lack of accessibility of financial information. So this is how these churches, what's going on, Brother Rob? I see you. This is how these churches can really get over on us because they really don't have to disclose how much money they really making. But this is the estimate of what this organization could be making. And I'm going to show that in a minute. Let me just put this back up. Remember I talked about in another video that the total annual revenue, I did some more research, the total annual revenue of black churches in the United States is difficult to pinpoint because of that 990 status, but an estimated suggestion that they are they're generating tens of billions of dollars per year. Here are some key points. Revenue estimating, some studies estimate that black churches in the United States take in around 10 billion to 20 billion annually from tithings, offerings, and donations. Mega churches versus small churches, large black mega churches such as T.D. Jakes, and y'all know who he is, Potter House, or Eddie Long, and you know how he got caught in some scandals, former New Birth Missionary Baptists may generate tens of millions per year, while similar congregations bring in much less. Now, I bring that up because they're asking a lot of money of black folks, right, who paid money to go to this convention, and these groups are actually making money. Let's put this back up. Let's put this back up here. The Pentecostal Assembly of God of America, this organization has an estimated annual revenue of approximately $35 million. That's just the Pentecostal Assembly of God in America. They got one in Canada. They got one in other countries. This is just the American branch. That's a lot of money. This is how much they are bringing in. Check this out. For the Pentecostal Assembly of the World Incorporated, PAW, East Coast Region Conference, early registration cost is $99 for adults 26 and up, $75 for Destiny's Daughters age 16 and 25 until January 15, 2025. This is the early bird, and it goes up after that, right? East Coast Registration Conference early registration, adults $99 until January 15th. Destiny's $75, right? Hotel room rates are $163.33 per night, including tax. The 2025 PAW Summer Convention is in New Orleans. But wait a minute, if we go a little bit deeper than that, when they had this convention in Baltimore, Maryland in 2024, the average cost of hotels near Baltimore Convention Center varies based on factors such as hotel star ratings, day of the week, in the season. 4-star hotels average about $125 per night, while 4-star hotels average $162 per night, right? Weekend rates tend to be higher with 3-star hotels averaging about $198 per night. 4-star hotels around $260 per night, given if it's a weekend, right? Now, hotel rates in the area typically range from $82 to $724 per night, depending on the specific hotel and time of the booking and the quality of the hotel. What I'm saying is, even if these folks stayed at a motel, it's going to cost them some money. Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up for this very logical reason, because they were asking these people for money, trying to raise $40,000 when these folks are already coming out of the pocket to register for this event, right? To get hotel stay if they don't have family down there. Not to mention cost of travel, whether they flew and drove. That's pretty expensive for 4 days at this time in time when things are inflationary. So this is why I think people in general felt some kind of way in the way this whole thing came off. What do you all think? Let's get back to this, and here we go.
Not Marvin Sapp. Number two, it didn't happen at my church. It happened in Baltimore. Number three, people take issue with me being firm with the ushers. Anybody that goes to church, ushers one-on-one, that's the first thing they teach you as being an usher, is that there are 3 times you don't walk. You don't walk during the altar call. You don't walk during prayer. You don't walk during the offering. One of the reasons being is because of the sacredness of the moment. But it's also about security. As a pastor, we understand and we know that churches are being robbed at gunpoint. It's happening all over the country. This is not something I'm making up. This is factual. So if you got 5,000 people in a room, you want the doors closed. You don't want the doors.
That's the part I'm talking about, everybody. He's saying that pastors are being robbed all over the country. Many of you, what's going on, East Dad? Many of you that's in this chat room right now, you come from all over the country. Have any of you, by a show of votes in the chat room, how many of you heard about a pastor lately being robbed in your community? We got folks in here watching from New York, from Philadelphia to Texas. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm saying, how often do we really hear about, we know about Bishop Whitehead from Brooklyn. That man was flashing all over the place like he was a rapper. He brought attention and smoke on himself. But I'm talking about, how often do we really hear about preachers getting robbed? We don't even hear about prosperity preachers getting robbed, really. Bishop Whitehead was a wannabe. But how often do we hear about churches and preachers getting robbed across the country? What I'm saying is it become an epidemic? I'm just asking. Based on what the pastor just said, okay? I'm just asking.
It's locked. I couldn't get them locked anyway. It's a convention center. But the doors needed to be closed, and there was a lot of pandemonium and stuff that was going on out there. But I wanted to share that first. But that ain't even the reason why I'm here. Here's the reason why I'm here. The reason why I'm here is because what has happened is people have taken clickbait and made something out of it that it isn't.
Now, I want to give Pastor Marvin Sapp some respect here, because I don't like the fact that he is going to report to you that his family was getting death threats and that people were coming to his church and trying to challenge him, or at least maybe they were coming there when he wasn't there, because he didn't say anybody confronted him physically. Maybe they showed up when he wasn't there, right? But people in the chat room are saying, we got folks in the chat room saying like this: East Dad said church got robbed this weekend in Newark. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. I don't want to undervalue what he's saying. Maybe he knows these things are happening because obviously he has more connections and affiliation with other pastors. So maybe he's hearing things through his connections with other pastors, right? But I just think that's kind of interesting that he said that. And Rickey Smiley was saying, well, it's just a commonplace thing to do. Let me see. Alicia says, hey, East Dad, let me see. We got Jesus Price says the longest and most lucrative scam in human history is, I get what you're saying. Okay, let's get back to this. But I want to say for the record, because I know somebody's going to probably leave a comment in the comment section of this video and say, you're wrong, info. Churches, preachers and churches have been getting robbed. I'm just saying maybe that's what's happening. I haven't heard about it on the news, local news or international news or national news, but maybe Marvin Sapp knows something that we don't know, because obviously he has relationships with pastors all over the country that can give him some insight as to what's going on out there, if indeed something is happening within the priesthood or the religious hood of people being robbed of money. Y'all let me know. So let's get back to it.
And because of that, my church has been getting phone calls. People have called my church and cussed me out. My staff are afraid because I've received death threats over $20 and check the door. People have come to our campus. They have come to my church to try to cause problems, issues, challenges. And again, now my children, I don't look at comments. We used to talk about this.
So this is where I got to give the brother some sympathy here. I don't think that's cool. If anybody out there has been doing that, going to his church, harassing his church, harassing his kids, leaving that, I just think, why do that? His kids don't have anything to do with what took place in that convention center a year ago when this video broke out and went viral. Okay. That's where I say you gotta, that's why I say you gotta stop. Don't go after his family. Don't go after his church. We obviously, people did not like the way this whole thing came off, and it's got him some bad press, I guess. Another thing I think that Pastor Marvin Sapp could have done better. I think he should have clarified when he was on that stage telling people to close the door. I think he didn't do a good job of really expressing, what was going on.
We all gonna lead together.
I think he didn't do a good job in doing that. And I think that's where he kind of failed in communicating properly, because when you don't communicate properly, it does open a door for people to create their own interpretation or get a perception of you in a negative way. And I'm sorry, what's bad about this, what's truth about this is that the church, the black church, has kind of brought this on themselves in terms of the perception based on what we're seeing out of the black church these days with these black preachers. Would any of you agree with me in the chat room? Put sevens in the chat room. Would you agree with me that part of our perception of the black church, of people like Marvin Sapp in that clip, we get this perception based on how the black church is moving these days and how some of these black preachers are moving these days, which we find very shady. 80% of black men are not even in the church. You're going to hear that when I play a clip later on down the line here. Let's continue. Let's continue.
You know, I don't read comments. When you got millions of followers, you ain't got time to be reading all the comments. You just don't have it.
Right.
My children do.
How many of you feel that that part right there is kind of arrogant? He's got millions and millions of followers. He don't have time to read comments, but his kids do. That little part in this interview, there are areas that I find a little arrogant of Pastor Marvin Sapp. There's a little bit of the arrogance there underneath that surface, but let's continue.
And they are afraid. And the reason being is because I'm their only parent. I'm a widower. You know, they're afraid for my safety. So now we've had to update and increase security and all the things I've never had to do before because of the vitriol and the anger that people have shown, the things that they've said in my thread and stuff. And all of this is because of a misunderstanding.
That's a shame that's happening.
I'm not.
Everybody, would you agree or disagree? He's saying that this is the first time he's had to get security. This is the first time he's had to be concerned for his safety. Once again, I do not condone people trying to put threats on this man. We have the right to make our criticisms, our opinions of it, whether wrong or right, but we don't have the right to put hands on this man. We don't have a right to harass his family or his church, especially if we're not a member of his church. The people that have the right to really raise some hell would be people, members of his church. But he has said himself that he has never ripped anybody off. When he was pastoring a church for, I think, 16 years, he never took a dime of money because he made his money. Primarily, he made his money, his big money in the music game, right? He made his bread in the music game. So I just want to, you all to hear what he's saying here, and let's get back to it. What's your thoughts about that, everybody in the chat room? Appreciate you being here. And let's get back to this.
Blaming people. Let me be clear. I'm not blaming anybody because of their misunderstanding. I'm just saying in all you're getting, get an understanding. And if I'm sharing with you that the $40,000 that I was trying to raise, and again, I don't know if the organization got 40, 10, 20, any of it. I don't know. I'm hoping that I actually raised more money so that I can help the organization.
Everybody, this is a question. Tell me if it's a logical question or not. Why is it that he doesn't know how much money they raised when they used him to raise the money? Why would he not know how much they raised? Remember, I read to you and told you that I did some research. You can research it too. And that the Pentecostal Assembly of the World, the PAW, they in America, because there's different ones in different parts of the world. There's one in Canada. I think there's one in maybe South America or maybe somewhere in Europe. But the one in America, they earn annually $35 million annually, and black churches annually take in about $10 to $20 billion annually. Keep this in mind. As I said in the previous video, I'm not talking about poor churches. I'm talking about poor churches that don't have a big congregation that really ain't rolling in the money like that. I'm talking about your prominent churches to your mega churches to your prominent churches that are well organized and well structured. But I find it interesting that Marvin Sapp says, I was trying to raise $40,000 for them, but I don't know how much. How would you? Come on. You asked people to collect the money. You said, I want to see the money in those baskets. I want to see people, 1,000 people coming down. He said that. So maybe I'm just being too picky right here, but I just find it interesting. Like, you're gonna ask for people to give you money, but you don't have an accounting of how much money was actually collected. They didn't tell you that. I don't know, folks. Maybe I'm just being picky. Am I being picky, everybody?
That has been such a great support to me. These people,
and again, let's be clear, not a dime of that money.
Not a dime of that money came to me. Not a dime of it.
And where did your money come from?
I've been blessed. I've been extremely blessed. I've sold millions of records. Millions. I'm a songwriter.
How much have you gotten paid?
And everybody, to his credit,
and we on radio live.
Right.
How much have you gotten paid from your?
To his credit, Marvin Sapp is a good songwriter. This is real.
Church. I'm just saying.
Okay, so
tell
see,
me
Ricky,
what you said during
I'm
the
gonna tell
commercial.
you. What people don't know is that I pastored 16 years in the city of Grand Rapids, Michigan. I founded my church. I pastored 16 years. We had a great church. Still have a great church there. 16 years of pastoring. I never got paid a dime. That's a fact. 16 years. You can call the church. You can ask them. I pastored the Lighthouse for Life Center Church in Grand Rapids, Michigan for free for 16 years. 9 years of those 16 years, I gave a minimum of $30,000 a month to my church. Wow. 30 grand a month to my church to ensure that the church could go forward. We had a lot of stuff. I had a college campus that we had bought. We had 3 other campuses, and my membership had dwindled after my wife had passed because I had to travel more in order to take care of me and my kids.
Now, let me just say this. I want to say, because he talked about his wife, he is, I didn't know this. He was a widower. His wife had passed away. So I want to give some condolence and respect to that. Okay. No, man, it's hard to lose someone that you love and what have you. I'm not going to punch down on this man. He lost a wife. And if this is true that he pastored a church for 16 years, earned them a lot of money and left there with no money in pocket, and that he didn't take any money, that he simply damn near worked for free, or he was pastoring without a salary because he made a lot of money in the music business. I say that's great. That's great. I don't want to punch down on him if that's good stuff there. We know about a lot of preachers running game on us, though, right? We know about that. We know about them preachers that run a lot of game on us. So that's a good thing, right?
Right. So, my membership, it dwindled, but we never lost anything. And as a matter of fact, this is factual. The day I announced the new pastor, I burned the mortgage of the church. When I left Grand Rapids, I left my church not only debt-free, but I left them with 6 figures in the bank and put a brand new pastor in and walked away and moved to Texas. I'm not walking around here trying to be a pimp. I'm not trying to take advantage of people.
Woo. He said it right there. He's not trying to be a pimp and take advantage of people, right? We definitely don't need being taken advantage of. He's on this radio show with Rickey Smiley. We don't need that. But what about your peers like Clefto Dollar asking for $65,000 for a plane at one point in time, right? Driving in luxury cars. What about your peers? See, remember, a lot of these preachers, I just got to be honest, a lot of these preachers, they hang out in the same circles. They connect with each other in the same circles. My question is, what are the preachers doing to keep the other preachers in check who are doing way too damn much? If you know what I mean. Let's get back to this.
That's never been my passion. I'm serious about ministry. And let me go one step further. There's a whole lot of other pastors around here that are doing the same thing. Most pastors in America are bivocational, meaning they have jobs outside of their churches. The average church size in America is only 75 people.
Everybody, is that true? Is the average size in America for churches only 75 people? And are most of these preachers really not taking in money? Or is it just a small minority of mega church preachers and the majority of preachers are just your everyday people trying to make it to ends meet like all of us, right? Now, he could be right about that. But the problem is that we keep hearing stories, or there keep being situations where we got these preachers who are doing too much. How many of you in the chat room, by putting sevens in the chat room, ever watched that reality show called Preachers of LA? And then all those guys were mega preachers. They was driving in luxury cars. They was wearing flashy suits. They all looked like pimps. How many of y'all remember that show by putting sevens in the chat room? Preachers of LA. It was a reality show. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, though. I'll tell you that.
Look it up. It's factual. So we're not getting rich off the church. I am bivocational.
He said, this is where I got to correct him. He said, we're not getting rich off the church. There are certainly preachers out there that are getting rich off the church. Let's hear this again.
The same thing. Most pastors in America are bivocational, meaning they have jobs outside of their churches. The average church size in America is only 75 people. Look it up. It's factual. So we're not getting rich off the church. I am bivocational. I'm a W-2 employee at my church. I have a syndicated.
Do you agree? I have to ask this question. Do you agree with Marvin Sapp when he says that black preachers are not getting rich off the church, when there are certainly those that are getting rich off the church? Look at T.D. Jakes. Isn't he getting? Now, of course, these guys have their investments, right? These guys take their money and they invest it in things to earn more money outside the church, right? They invest their money. But there are certainly preachers that have gotten very well off to do for themselves off the church. So when Marvin Sapp says that preachers, let's just say some preachers are not making a lot of money off the church, and there's certainly those that do. Come on, man. We got to use common sense. We've seen it. We've grown up. We've seen these preachers, these jack-o'-leg preachers and stuff like that.
Tell the truth.
We've seen them. We've seen them running game on us, pimp game, the whole 9 yards. We have grown up and have seen it, right? Unbelievable. So you can't tell us that, Marvin Sapp, that there are not some people of your peers that are doing well for themselves off the church, because we have seen it, literally. So that to me is not an honest statement. Maybe for you, you're not Marvin Sapp, but you're saying, well, we're not. We, meaning we as many other preachers. That ain't necessarily true. At least not the ones that's up there in the mega level of the big churches. I'm talking about them. What you really should say is the smaller preachers who are not running these big churches. They ain't making no money. Maybe that's what you should be saying. I'm going to thank you too, Christopher Ellis, who says, brother, GBS just hipped me to your channel, much needed broadcast, brother. I'm subscribing. Hey, thank you for coming over, and tell GBS I appreciate that. Clap to you.
Thank you for the super chat.
I want to say thank you for the super chat, and make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification.
Information Man, please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Thank you for the super chat.
I want to say thank you for that super chat. Thank you for that super chat. You know what I'll do for you? Maybe I'll go with some super chat music. It won't hurt. It won't hurt.
Tell them run it on. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck. But first I stretch. Tell them run it. Y'all gon' make me take that trip way out to Europe. I call up Nigeria, come through in a hurry. Those London boys don't come to play, you should get worried. One false move, find yourself, they getting buried. This with the devil.
Radio show
All right.
that I do every week to over 60 different markets. I own.
Look, this is what I want to say to Pastor Marvin Sapp. I got to be honest, folks. He's done a great job with investing his money. He's done a great job with managing his money. If you go and look him up online, which I did, he's right. He's made a lot of money off of his music, his ringtones. I do not begrudge this man for making the money that he's been making off of music. I don't begrudge that. I just think that it didn't come off right. And I think because it didn't come off right, people got triggered by what they witnessed and what they saw. It just didn't look good. It didn't look good to me. And I think, Marvin, you just got to understand
Going
that.
no place but to the restaurant.
See, when you're talking to us like this, when you're saying things like, we ain't going no place but to the restaurant, them folks probably need to eat a meal. Damn it.
Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
Let's get back to this. Let me read something. We got my man, we here. He says, church, I used to go to the pastor, gave the, let me do this. Let me just pull this up here real quick. I didn't want to really make this a long stream. I really wanted to make it a short stream, sort of like my pre-produced videos, keep them nice and short. But it's hard because you guys are putting good comments in the in there. And thank you, 78. My sister 78. It's good to see you. You say here, man. You say the church I used to go to the pastor's grave. The church I loaned because they did not have enough funds to get a new AC unit. It was commercial, right? No. Don't get me wrong. There are certainly churches that are out here struggling, right? They're not getting that big money. And so that's why why don't they, this is the thing I want to say here. Why don't the mega churches raise money to help the small churches? Wouldn't that be helpful? Why don't they raise that money to help these small churches that are in the dirt? And we got another person coming over. We got the I only listen to the truth of God. The poor you will always have. So what about them? They don't count. The poor should always count, my brother. And why don't these mega churches that take in millions of dollars? Look, the big churches annually are taking in between 10 billion and 20 billion annually. The Pentecostal assembly world takes in about 35 million annually. I did the research on this. Why don't they help some of these small churches? I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. If I don't want to come off disrespectful. What's going on, DJ Chuck? He says, good evening, everyone. Information man, thank you for being here. Alicia, thank you for being here. What's going on, my sister? She says, hey, Information Man Show, glad I caught it live. I'm glad you're over here. I know Honors is going live later on today. Well, I'll be over there with y'all. Let's see what DJ Chuck is saying. He says, Marvin Sapp can't force people to give money that's not godly at all. No, I don't think that's godly. But we're going to get back to his interview in a moment. What's going on, my sister? This is AJ07 coming in. Thank you for coming here. Let's put this up, see what this brother is saying right here. YouTube is still censoring. I was literally on an Information Man live stream as a mod in 2018, and when it ended, they kicked me off without... Oh, now I didn't kick you off, brother. I didn't kick you off. So I don't know what happened back then. I know YouTube does censor. Oh, yeah, they do. You're not lying about that. Now, I wasn't the one that censored you, and I don't know for the life of me what exactly happened. That's a long time ago, 2018. That damn part. Thank you, brother Christopher Ellis. Thank you for coming over. We got Pretty Brown Eyes, who's in the house, who says it makes too much sense. We got Last Call in here, who says this, somebody tell you, close the door. There's some shady thing going down. Yeah, everybody let me know if you enjoy those pre-produced videos that I put up. Now, I want to let y'all know something too. Sometimes when I put those videos up and you guys are saying, hey, what's up, Information Man? Don't take it wrong, because sometimes when I put those premiere videos up, sometimes I'm not there. I'm at the JOB. I'm somewhere else. So sometimes I'm not even in the chat room or even looking at it. Just so you know, if you're wondering, why is it sometimes when he pulls these pre-produced videos up, he never shouting us out? Because sometimes I'm not physically where I can look at the computer to be able to respond to you, because that's why they're being put up early in the morning and I'm out the door to the JOB. So just wanted to let y'all know that as a side note. Let me see. JLT says gospel music used to be about saving souls for God. It's 90% secular last 20 years. Yeah. I agree with you. We in the house. We here. What's going on, brother? Sorry, push to talk working. All right. We got my man we got Informant Media. Y'all should definitely check him out. Saying understood. We got Organically. Let's see. She says, I don't like Marvin Sapp because that song Perfect Peace is Keith Pendergrass, a Keith Piggery song, and Marvin never gave Keith his respect. Rest in peace, Keith. Princegree. I'm probably not saying that last name right. So you saying that he's singing a song, sister, that he's making money off of, and that he never gave that man credit. I don't like the way that sound. What do I mean by that, sister? If that's what he did, that's not good character. If that's a fact that that's what he did, sister, that's not good character. And thank you for bringing that to our attention. We got Alicia in the chat room as this. Yeah, I enjoy the video like I do the live streams. Thank you. Now, let's get back. I don't want to take up all y'all time, but let's get back on topic here. Let's get back to where we were with Marvin Sapp. Here we go.
Real estate. I have mutual funds. I have annuities. I have stocks. I play the market. I took my money and I didn't trick it.
Money that you made from
money that I made from music,
records.
from hit records. I'm one of the only gospel artists with billions of streams.
And you tour.
Now, according to my sister who just came in organically, yeah, if this is true, that you made money off of somebody else's music and didn't give them credit, that's not a good thing, Marvin. Look, I don't begrudge any man or woman who has enough sense to say, hey, let me invest in let me invest in stocks, let me invest in this, let me grow my money, let my money grow for me. I don't begrudge that. But I did have a problem how everybody remember when he was asking for that money, he had a wad of money that he pulled out. It didn't look good. He pulled out a wad of money while asking folks for that $20 during that time that they were in spiritual prayer and they were, and he gets up here on this podcast, this radio show with Rickey Smiley, and he's arguing his case or making his case that we should get off his back. I'm going to say again, I don't condone anybody that's threatening this man's family. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not good. I'm not going to promote that. We can definitely criticize what we didn't like about the whole situation, right? But don't threaten a man's family or his church. Don't do that. That's where I draw the line myself. Let's continue.
I tour. I just came off of a tour.
Sure.
That I made tons of money on, and I'm at the crib right now chilling because I don't have to go on tour. I can wait and do my next day.
Basically, you saying all that to say you don't need no $40,000.
I don't.
Got it.
And I will take it if they gonna give it to me. But I did not raise.
Stop right there. He says, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that he don't need no $40,000 because he's got so much investments and so much music that's popping off the charts. And I don't begrudge him of this, but you notice why he says that. At the same time, he says, but you know what? I don't mind if people gonna give me and want to give me $40,000 at the same time. Now, isn't that interesting? While he says one, he says the other thing, he emphasizes that he don't mind getting that extra money if that can be possible. But he's saying he didn't take $40,000 last year at this Pentecostal Assembly Worldwide International Christian Conference. He didn't take the money, but he damn sure made it clear to you all. And I don't want people to think I'm hating, but it's just, he said it. I didn't say it. He said he damn sure don't mind taking the money if they gonna give them the money, right?
Music from hit records. I'm one of the only gospel artists with billions of streams.
And you tour.
And I tour. I just came off of a tour.
Sure.
That I made tons of money on. And I'm at the crib right now chilling because I don't have to go on tour. I can wait and do my next day.
Basically, you saying all that to say you don't need no $40,000.
I don't.
Got it.
And I'll take it if they gonna give it to me. But I did not raise this money for the premise and purpose.
And that was a program that helped you get to where you are.
They gave me a platform. This organization is an organization I grew up in. It's a church organization I grew up in, and I'm appreciative. The reason why I won't bring up the organization because it ain't none of y'all business. But the point is these people gave me a platform, man, and the reason why I'm known today is because of the opportunities that this organization gave me. So for me to go back,
he says that it's not in. Wait a minute. See, Marvin Sapp, this is why I said to you all that there seems to be some arrogance in the way that he is doing the damage control here. Now, he says on the one hand that he's doing fine. He's chilling at home. He's making his money with his investments. That's fine. He's making money off of his music. That's fine. But then he says, this organization has helped me, and I ain't got to tell you who they are. Because it ain't none of your business. What are you talking about? Ain't none of our business. They a public they a public religious organization that you was trying to raise money for. What are you talking about? This is the part that's the bullshit, everybody. What are you talking about? We're talking about this is the part that's the bullshit, everybody. This is the part that's the bullshit. It's the Pentecost. What is he trying to hide here? It's the Pentecostal Assembly of God of America. This organization. Now, maybe I'm getting it mixed up. Maybe he's talking about another organization, but he just said he was raising money for them, which was the Pentecostal Assembly of God of America. This organization has an estimated annual revenue of approximately $35 million annually. So is Marvin Sapp talking about another organization that he's giving money to that he don't want to tell, or what, folks? And do I got something backwards? Let's hear this again. Damn it. Let's hear this part again.
Because I don't have to go on tour. I can wait and do my next day.
Basically, you saying all that to say you don't need no $40,000.
I don't.
Got it.
And I'll take it if they gonna give it to me. But I did not raise this money for the premise and purpose.
And that was a program that helped you get to where you are.
They gave me a platform. This organization is an organization I grew up in. It's a church organization I grew up in, and I'm appreciative. The reason why I won't bring up the organization because it ain't none of y'all business.
What are you talking about? It is. Wait a minute, Marvin Sapp. Wait a minute. God. Wait a minute, everybody. Do you see what he just did? Put sevens in the chat room if you see what he just did. He says this is an organization that he grew up with that helped him out. That's fine. I'm not criticizing that. But then says it's none of our business. He was earning money, trying to get money for them. We get it. We get it, Sapp. You're getting money for them to help them out. But it ain't none of our business to know about them or to know the name. What are you talking about, man? We know the name. I looked it up. Everybody can look this up. Put sevens in the chat room if we're cooking here. It's the Pentecostal Assembly of God of America. This organization has estimated annual earnings of approximately $35 million. This is an organization that has annual programs. Now, determining the actual annual revenue of the Pentecostal Assembly of the World is very difficult, you guys. So that's an estimate that I just put up because they file a 990 every year with the IRS, which means they're nonprofit. They don't have to disclose any damn thing. What do you mean it's none of our business when they're actually having a convention where they're charging money for you to attend? They have registration packages. They have early bird where you can pay less money if you register early, and then the price goes up. You got to get a hotel. You got to fly out there or drive. What do you mean it is none of our business, man? Yes, it is. When you're asking people for money, I don't care if it's $20 or $100. You're asking them for money. And you sitting up here, you don't want to disclose the organization. We're not going to hate on the organization. If they're doing good work with the money, then tell us what the work is. Tell us what they're doing with the money. If this organization is doing great work, Marvin, Pastor Marvin Sapp, let me give you respect. If the organization is doing great work, why don't you say, hey, I'm earning money for this organization to give them more money for their convention expenses because they had a shortfall. They didn't sell as many hotels. They didn't get as many people there, but they said it was 4,000, but maybe we were short $1,000. And maybe you could say, hey, this is an organization that helped me when I was a young pastor, and they do great work in the community. They do this kind of work, that kind of work, blah, 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 blah. And this is, I mean, just to sit up there and say it ain't none of our business, that's damn right, in my opinion, sort of arrogant. What do you all think about that? Maybe am I talking too much here, or what do you think, everybody?
Premise and purpose.
And that was a program that helped you get to where you are.
They gave me a platform. This organization is an organization I grew up in. It's a church organization I grew up in. And I'm appreciative. The reason why I won't bring up the organization, because it ain't none of y'all business. But
it is our business. They You see why black men at 80% and black people in general are dropping away or going away from the black church because of the lack of transparency. They don't want to be transparent. Why is it that Marvin Sapp sits up there and tells us he's never taken money from any kind of money that didn't belong to him, that he ran a church in Grand Rapids, Michigan for 16 years where he left them in good shape. And then he praises the organization in our face and tells you and me that, hey, this is the organization that I grew up with that had my back, but I ain't going to get into the organization or tell you their name because it ain't none of your business. Y'all make this make sense. Make this make sense, man. What? Maybe I'm being too hyperbolic about this. I just didn't like the way that came off. Did y'all like the way that came off? Or let me say, if you didn't like the way that came off right there, can you please put 7s in the chat room if you think that the way that came off right there was a little shady? And once again, I don't want to come off like I'm punching down on Pastor Marvin Sapp. He said that his family has been taking some criticism. His church is being bombarded with people coming there wanting to challenge him. That there's death threats out there, which nobody should be doing that. We can't condone that at all. But doesn't it come off a little arrogant in making that type of statement? Maybe I'm just, am I crazy? Maybe I've been making too many damn videos the last couple of weeks and I gotta take a break. What y'all want me? Y'all want me to take a break? Oh my God, Mark. Woo, boy. Oh my God. Let's hear. Y'all heard it. I'm not going to play it again and over again. I need to work on that on my streams, not overplaying stuff. Y'all know, but y'all get it by now. Wow. Let's continue.
The point is these people gave me a platform, man. And the reason why I'm known today is because of the opportunities that this organization gave me. So for me to go back and be able to preach and raise finances and give back.
Then why, if this organization has done good things in the community and for you, let us know. You know why this is important that he should let us know, folks? Because if he had did that, maybe the blow of criticism wouldn't be as bad, because now people would say, oh, I see what's going on. This organization, the Pentecostal Assembly of the World, they're doing a great work in the community. They're educating youth. They're getting people into housing. They're doing these things. Maybe if he would explain a little bit of, maybe people would have a better understanding. And even if he doesn't want to explain it, say the name so that we can do what? Go on Google and look it up and see what their good works are. Why would you not want to? Everybody, I got to say this again. I know I'm I'm overdoing the cake right now, but why would you not want to promote what your religious organization is doing that you support? Doesn't make sense.
Them so that they don't have to go in debt. Listen,
Hold on. Hold that thought. Hold that thought, y'all. 25 before the top of the hour, y'all. We're talking to Marvin Sapp. More Marvin Sapp up next. Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
I was just saying that, you know, I think one of the most devastating things about this whole situation and circumstance is that, you know, I'm literally praying for all of those who have actually spreaded the lie. And the reason being is because I don't think people really understand that when you do things like this, the effect that it has. Like if I was a weak guy, if I was a very weak person with all.
So the lie is being that he told them to shut the doors. I mean, he told them to lock the doors when he said, close the doors.
We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors.
All of the things that people have said in my comments and stuff like that, that my members of my church have read, that my children have read. You know, people commit suicide on stuff like this.
Sure.
From this type of attack. And I know for a fact that there are some individuals that really don't have a clear understanding of the systems of the church. But then I know that there are some individuals that are listening, even as I speak, that have been church hurt. You know, and that's the reason why they have a certain level of vitriol and bitterness as it pertains to the church.
Do you think that Marvin Sapp is making a good point here, that there are people that are church hurt? He's trying to make the argument here that he believes that some of the vitriol towards him is that people are church hurt, meaning people had a bad experience with church and they are triggered by this situation, and they're coming at him. They're criticizing the situation. Is this validity that people are church hurt? Am I church hurt? Are you church hurt? Let's see if he brings the validity to this.
This particular situation for me is a church hurting situation because I did something for the church, but I'm taking abuse because of it. And that's what church hurt is all about. And as I just want people to really understand that this is something that we shouldn't do. Make sure you do your due diligence. Make sure you check out everything first. Make sure that you...
Let me say peace to Black Anonymous, my sister 78, Nagoon 11. What's going on, frat? Everybody that's here, we really appreciate you. Who else do we have here? Oh, Reliable, the only listen to the truth of God. He should never had stepped on the pulpit. He is not a sent of God. Last call is in the house. Everybody is here. Balls of Steel is in the house. Blue Devil's in the house. Let me see. DS Rider Service is in the house, if I'm saying that correct. Really great people here. I've got some more that I need to show you all, so don't go nowhere. The stream will be at its conclusion sometime very soon, but let's finish this part out here.
Examine the information with clarity and context before you begin to share it. It's sad. You know, I was labeled as a pulpit pimp. Honestly, let me be right with Rick. Some of this stuff is funny. They got this one meme that I was laughing this morning looking at with the Teddy Pendergrass fur coat on, and It got at the bottom of my face. They closed the door. It's hilarious.
Have y'all seen
I'm
that
just
meme?
telling you.
It is funny.
Laugh
It is funny.
at that kind of stuff.
It is funny.
But let me go one step further. Everybody ain't able to handle that. And you all have to really, really be cognizant of it. You got to think about before you repost, before you slander, before you go in people's comments and say vile and this vitriol stuff. Make sure.
Let me stop here and let me shout out someone who gave me a super chat here. Let's see if I can pull this person up, super chat. We really appreciate you all at this program today coming over. And like I said, everybody, we're going to be on the lookout for me to pull up those. We're going to keep the pre-produced videos coming. And I think it's good for the channel because one of the mistakes I made all these years, and I should have known better than this, is that I was only doing live streams like once every Sunday, and maybe every blue moon I would do a live stream during the week. That wasn't good for the channel. The problem is that you got to keep putting content out. What happens with YouTube when you only go live or do content every now and then, people, what happens is you stop seeing me in your browser. YouTube stops sending my videos to you. It hurts the channel. I have to continue to put out the content. And another thing too, for those of you out there who have YouTube channels or want to do YouTube, this is as important. By doing pre-produced videos and chopping those videos down to 30 minutes, 20 minutes, it helps your retention rate. It actually is better because more people, when they see your videos in the channel, meaning they're more likely to click into a video that's 35 minutes long, 20 minutes long, 15 minutes long than they are a video that's 2 hours long. That's why you really can't build your channel off of just live streaming and only live streaming for sure. So my problem is that I never really pushed the envelope with more pre-produced videos that I can edit perfectly for you, that you can watch, get into, and get out of. We're still going to do live streams, but the formula, because it's the same formula that I have on my sports channel, the Prime Sports Media channel. I've got about 28,300, whatever over there. That video, a lot of stuff I do on that video is pre-produced videos. And then when Colorado has their season, I do live streaming for their season. And I noticed that that's the best way to go. People like the pre-produced videos that they can watch and get in and out of. This is a side note. I'm just saying this to people that's watching right now, wondering what's going on. This man's putting out content quite frequently, more than he did before. So anyway, let's continue. Thank you, the Geek Surgeon, for the $2 super chat. The Geek Surgeon says that sounds like a hostage situation. Let's go right here. I'm not a church hunt. I'm not about to donate someone randomly begging for a hand earning money. Interesting. This sister right here says Marvin probably wanted the 40,000 so he could go on a shopping spree without touching his savings. Well, he said that he didn't take the money. He didn't take the money, that he was trying to help out an organization that he didn't want to even tell you what the organization was. But I just told you. He didn't want to tell you, but I told you today with the stuff that I put on the screen. Let me see. Alicia says, I started with a short until growing my audience more, then I would consider longer form content. Yeah, that's the way to go. You build up. Let me see. We got a new subscriber here. JJ Flo says, new sub. Thank you, JJ. Thank you, JJ Flo. Thank you. Welcome to the family.
Tell the truth.
Christopher Ellis, thank you. If you're new to the channel too, my man, thank you for being a part of the family. Trying to pull on the heartstrings. The devil is a lie. Yeah, that's what they do. They pull on the heartstrings. And we got Nagoon. I'm going to get to the rest of my content. He's got caught raw dog pimping. And then we got my man we got the Informant Media. Check him out too. I haven't seen it yet. All right, let me get out of here. I'm taking up y'all time when I need to get back to content here. And let's get through this because we're getting close to the conclusion of other content that I want to show you to end the show. Let's continue.
You know for a fact what it is that they've done. Now, if if I was had babies all over the country, if I was, stealing money, if you found out that I was actually stealing money.
Like this man right here, Jamal Bryant, who, this is why black men and black people are moving away. Because remember, Jamal Bryant, I'm going to show a video of Jamal Bryant saying something that's true, but it's kind of weird because this man talked about how many black men are in the church or not in the church versus black women. I think, what is it? 80% of the black church is made up of black women. 80, I think that is. And he got caught having affairs with black women in his own church. Remember? Just got to tell the truth. So Marvin Sapp, I'm glad that you don't engage in that kind of behavior like your peer here, Jamal Bryant. Let's go.
I wouldn't mind being dragged. I wouldn't. But that's not what I done. And that's not what I did. The only thing I did was honor the leadership of our church's organization when they asked me to take up an offering. I tried to raise $40,000 for the organization.
The organization is the Pentecostal Assembly, man. Why don't you say the damn organization? Why won't this man say the damn organization, everybody? Right? He said 20 from the folks in the audience that came there, right? And he said, I need 100 from the pastors. You guys, it costs to be up here. It costs to be the boss. Okay? Well, that's my saying. He didn't exactly say that. Why won't this man tell you that it's the Pentecostal Assembly of God of America? That's the organization that gets an annual revenue of $35 million annual. That's a lot of money, y'all. That's more money than I've ever seen in my damn life. Why don't he say that? Why don't he say that?
Not for me personally. Right. The money that I make, I write songs. I own businesses. I have multiple streams of income. I have been good with the money and a good steward over the finances that God has given me. So at
you don't have to explain.
At 58 years of age, if I don't drive a certain kind of car, there's a problem. That means I tricked off my money.
You work hard.
You don't drive.
I work and still work hard.
And on tour and getting on planes. And
absolutely. Planes, trains, automobiles, hotels, motels, holidays.
Wait a minute. Did you hear what he just said? Now, he's smart. You don't want to trick off your money. So he's right there, everybody. You don't want to trick off money. But I find it interesting that he emphasized, everybody. That's my spy man there. I find it interesting that he said that if I tricked off my money, then I wouldn't be able to drive a certain type of car. See, it always gets back to the physical goods, right? That if he did not trick off his money, he wouldn't be able to drive a certain type of car. Y'all heard what he said, and you see the car, right? Cleflo Dollar, he flies a certain type of plane, right? Again, if I tricked off my money, I wouldn't be able to drive a certain type of car. See, while he's trying to explain the situation, everybody, he's saying things that are sort of arrogant underneath the fact that he's saying, hey, I didn't take no money. I've been a good brother all my life. I ran a church in Grand Rapids, Michigan for 16 years, never took no money, left them in good standings, made most of my money in investments, right? Made all my money in investments. And I'm doing well for myself. And I don't begrudge him, right? He's made the right investments with his money, right? He's a God-fearing man, reading the Bible, like this young man right here. He's God-fearing. A man of the cloth. But he says, if I didn't drive it, y'all heard it for yourself. Let's go back to this. Maybe am I picking at straws here? Or do y'all hear some of the undertones in the things that he's saying? He's saying some positive things about what he's done, right? But then there's some little bit of arrogant tones underneath there. Let's continue. Let me know if you're seeing those undertones by hitting 7s in the chat room.
And
I'm telling
singing and preaching on Sundays
doing all
and
the-
rehearsals and writing the song and producing and the hours and hours in the studio. Yeah, you worked hard for that.
And I don't know
what
if
was your
anyone-
number one hits?
My number one hit was Never Would Have Made It.
Never Would Have Made It.
48 weeks
Never
at
would have
number one.
made it.
Yeah.
48 weeks at number one. When it first came out, I sold 4 million ringbacks and ringtones.
Come on, man.
4 million.
Yeah.
Y'all
Hey,
do the
Rick.
math. Y'all
Let
do
me
the math.
read this
Who do you
right
know
here.
that-
This is very interesting what this person put right here. This is from I only listen to the truth of God. You don't see Gino Jennings living like that, and he opens up the church all around the world and don't make a dime out of it. Gino Jennings, I be checking him out on the YouTube streets. He be saying some stuff. I'm gonna say this again. I don't begrudge any man or woman in the ministry who has been able to invest their money well and make money, which makes them sovereign from taking a dime from the church. I don't begrudge that, right? But what I have a problem with is what you're hearing from Marvin Sapp is that, hey, I didn't take no money, so y'all really shouldn't be coming down on me because at least I didn't take no money that he can't even tell us how much they earned. Money that he didn't even say, hey, we earned this much money and it went to administrative costs. Now, he said something about administrative costs. And I've already talked about and showed y'all today what they're charging for their convention. Now, if you go on their convention, if you go on their website for that Pentecostal of God world, you know, if you go check out, you'll see that they have an early bird package where all their registration fees for men and for everybody is was $100, but they slashed the price to make it cheaper because that's the early bird. But after the early bird, it goes up, and they bring in $35 million annually as an organization. That ain't nothing to sneeze at. That's pretty damn good money. We got last call who says this right here. Bring my volumes up on the music. Last call says that means they had a meeting and decided to approach the congregation in that manner. Yeah, they talked about it because they know that Marvin Sapp has the celebrity aura that could encourage people to come out of there because the man got a little bit of a celebrity aura to him as a gospel singer. Let's go. Let's continue.
Can work a job for 16 years and don't get paid? Who do you know that can give $30,000 a month to a church for 9 years? Do the math.
Wait a minute. Marvin Sapp said that he gave $30 million to a church annually. Wait a minute. Let's hear this again. Wait a minute. Let's hear this again. We're near the end, but let me hear this again.
Worked hard for that.
And I don't know
what
if
was your
anyone-
number one hits?
My number one hit was Never Would Have Made It.
Never Would Have Made It.
48 weeks at number one.
Yeah.
48 weeks at number one. When it first came out, I sold 4 million ringbacks and ringtones.
That's incredible, folks.
4
Gotta
million.
admit that.
Y'all
Hey,
do the
Rick.
math. Y'all do the math. Who do you know that can work a job for 16 years and don't get paid? Who do you know that can give $30,000 a month to a church?
So basically, when he was in Grand Rapids, Michigan, as a young pastor, he worked he was a pastor of a church. He said he never took pay from that church for 16 years. But I think that was mainly because of his gospel career, right? Not because how many pastors, right? Because he's making money, right? Then he said that he gave $30 million a month to a church. That means that Pastor Marvin Sapp was making some money with his music being so successful. Do you believe me? He gave $30 million to a church a month? That's quite incredible. If that is true, let's hear that again.
Y'all do the math. Who do you know that can work a job for 16 years and don't get paid? Who do you know that can give $30,000 a month to a church for 9 years? Do the math.
Yeah.
Do the math. and walk away from it. This ain't about $40,000. I don't know what it's about,
Hey,
but
Marvin.
I want to be clear.
So that's the end of the end of the interview to the portion that I was able to clip it. Everybody, let me know what you think in the comment section of this video today, whether you agree or disagree, whether there's some things that Marvin Sapp said that made sense to you, that you felt was adequate, whether there's some things that went unanswered that you think that you like his demeanor, that you think he was a little arrogant in some ways, or do you think that, hey, this man, he came on there, he showed some guts, he came on the Rickey Smiley show and he explained himself and he tried to douse some of the naysayers and douse some of the things that he feel has been put out there that's incorrect. What do you all think? I want to show y'all something else too. What do you all think though? Huh?
Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
What do you all think? Let me know. But until then, let me do this. Jamal Bryant. I'm not a big fan of Jamal Bryant, but I have to. I only clipped these two things from Jamal Bryant because he did say something that made sense in his church about the imbalance of black women versus black men in the church. So keep this in mind. I'm not a fan of Jamal Bryant because, of course, he had his flings with women in the church, which he should have never done. And of course, in Baltimore, Maryland, he was told to get the hell out of there. Remember, there's a video there's a video of a brother in Baltimore who was an activist, a street activist. And Jamal Bryant tried to come on the block. And these dudes told him to get the hell off the block, that he wasn't wanted. I think they were in East Baltimore or West Baltimore or something like that. Told him to get off the damn block. That he wasn't needed, they didn't want him there. Now, they have since made up some years ago over the situation. But when you hear Jamal Bryant talking about, I'm from Baltimore, when he was sitting up there in his church, talking about those black folks that's mega heads for Donald Trump and saying, I'm from Baltimore, y'all don't scare me, because they had a picture of him while they was partying for Black History Month at the White House. And he said, y'all don't scare me, I'm from Baltimore. Well, you got ran out of Baltimore at one point in time by the street activists, which is why you're not probably there anymore, because your name is Mud there. Maybe I'm wrong, y'all. Y'all tell me. But I just want to let you know I'm not a fan. So anybody says, man, why is he playing Jamal? I'm not a fan, but I am. What he said had validity, and let's play it here. Here we go. Check it out.
Through a particular institution. Something is off kilter if the mosque is 80% men, but the church is 80% women. It is important to know that we are in an information age, but the black church in large measure does not have information, it has inspiration. We have exchanged Bible study for midweek service. So it is not that black men don't want to learn, we're not giving them the tools. So your son and your nephew and your brother will watch for hours information from the Hebrew Israelites on YouTube, but they cannot find a place in the black church.
Now, stop it right there. We have to be honest. As much as I'm not a big fan of Jamal Bryant, we have to be honest, and be honest, we shall be on this channel, that what he's saying is true. The Hebrew Israelites and other religious groups can attract men. The Nation of Islam does, Islam in general, and the Hebrew Israelites. Even if you don't subscribe to any of those groups, they are able to gravitate the attention of black men. You know why, Jamal Bryant? And tell me if I'm right or wrong, everybody in the chat room, because here's the secret. They speak to black men's needs. They speak to our issues. The black church in its traditional setting, it doesn't speak to the needs of black men. And we see the jack-o'-leg preachers. We see the Creflo Dollars of the world in his plane, his jet plane, and his money falling out of his pocket, and his cars, and his luxury living. That's why these other organizations are speaking to black men's concerns that the traditional black church is not speaking to. This is why, Jamal Bryant. This is why.
We have reduced the role of black men in the church to be security or to be a deacon over 60.
You see that? So, that's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. And damn it. That's true. Here we go again.
And these numbers are not only alarming, they are revealing, because according to this report, most black men believe in a higher power. So most black men believe in God, watch this, but don't prioritize going to church. This is an important distinction. So we do not have in our community a God problem. We have a church problem.
Now, why do we have a church problem, everybody? Why do you think we have a church problem? Why do you think, everyone? Why, Jamal Bryant? Because, like I said, the church has failed to address black men's issues. The church has failed to maintain value to black men. We see too many jack-o'-leg preachers. We see too many unkept promises. We see too many people putting money in the back of their pockets. We're getting tired of the lies, and we're getting tired of preachers who have more of a pimp persona than they do having a persona for the people. That's what we get sick of. That's what we're tired of. That's why black men are walking away. We can see con artists walking. We can hear a con artist talking. And we also see how some of you, like you, Jamal, prey on the women in the church. Even women that's married with a husband at home. You sitting up there, they coming to you for counseling, and you counseling them, these women, all right. You're doing everything you can to get in between the booty. Men have seen that. Even women have seen this, where they came to you for counseling, Jamal Bryant, but you instead, you want to insert something in them, and y'all know what I'm talking about. Jamal Bryant, his damn self, he is telling us that black men are not a part of the church because our role in the church has changed, that we're not as important anymore, that we're not doing anything to give black men the tools. Why would black men want to join your church, Jamal Bryant, when they already know what your deeds are? It is preachers like you and others who drive some black men away from the church. And that's just the damn truth.
Tell the truth.
And he's right. Even though black men are absentee or not going to church as much as our predecessors did, we still are spiritual. We still believe in God. We still believe in the kingdom of God. We just don't believe in this nonsense like this.
Close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
What do you all think? And I want to thank the Informant Media for the $2 super chat. He says church is better conditioned than the 90% of this hood. Let me read this more clearly. The Informant Media gave me the $2 super chat. He said church is a better conditioned is in better condition than 90% of the hood. You're absolutely correct.
Tell the truth.
But I said it in the other video. You go into any hood, any urban environment, any tough environment in the urban environment, and you'll see church, liquor store, church, liquor store, church. You got all these churches, but everything outside that church looks like crap. And I'm going to say this again. This is my challenge. Why don't these mega churches that take in billions of dollars annually, why don't y'all cut some of these small churches, cut them off, cut them some money, help them out. Look for a preacher that's struggling, who means well, who's actually trying to do something in the community. Why don't y'all help his funding? Give him funding. And I'm going to say this again. If it's true that Marvin Sapp actually did give a church that he said that he gave $30 million to every month, if he actually did that, I have to be honest and say that's commendable. That's powerful. I appreciate if that's exactly what would happen and that he actually did that, we would give him a clap, everybody. Why not? If it's true, I got to give him respect on that part. We still have to be critical in the things that he said in this interview that did not sound right, sound a little. All right. Okay, there we go. Okay, my microphone was cut off. Thank you for putting that, saying no sound. Anyway, what I was saying, everybody, I want to thank you for coming over and supporting the channel today. I also wanted to say, go over and subscribe to the Truth Media Studio channel. That's another channel that I have. It used to be news shorts. I will be dropping content over there that will only be 6 minutes long, 5 minutes long, 9 minutes long, 8 minutes long. That's it. All content on that channel will only be short content. It's going to be a raw and uncut channel where I just talk about issues that are going on in a raw and in-your-face type way. It's called Truth Media Studios, or Studio, right? Short, very short content, not an hour-long content, not 45 minutes long, not 30 minutes long, 6, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 9 minutes, 8 minutes, maybe 12 at the very most content. That will be a sort of hose bar type channel where anything that comes off the top of my head, I'll say it on that channel. If there's any stories that I'm not able to get to on this channel, I will go on that channel and just break it down. Won't be a lot of bells and whistles, just straightforward stuff. The reaction channel, the info media reaction channel, be on the lookout for a video that I'm going to drop about Tupac, because his cousin has spoken about some BS with that Fat Joe nonsense that Fat Joe's been talking about, how he did something to help Tupac. We're going to put all that to rest on the reaction channel, the info media reacts channel. I'll be busting a video on that channel too. Everybody take care. Thank you for being here. Tell somebody that you love them. Thank you for the super chats. The Underrated Darkness. What's up, my brother? Yes, Underrated Darkness. I saw what you left for me on the TikTok. I know we definitely got to do a show together. We definitely got to do some content together, or we definitely got to pay a visit to your channel, and we got to bless each other with each other's presence, brother. So, everybody, thank you. Have a good evening. We're going to keep this whole thing going. Once again, always check this channel for those uploaded videos. We're going to keep popping those out. I got so much more stuff I want to talk about on this channel, some other stuff. Another thing too, and I'm thinking about doing a video about this. On Friday, they having this protest. Black folks, stay your ass at home. Don't get involved in this. We tried to tell the Latino community. Now you got these white folks, that's mega white folks, that's angry at Trump because what he did was supposed to affect everybody else but them. Now they're out there going to protest because they're saying, wait a minute, we agree with your policies, but they wasn't supposed to affect us. We white folks. They supposed to affect these ninjas and these other folks, and don't get involved. Set your ass. This been the theme on TikTok. Your ancestors are talking to you. Set your black ass down. Don't engage. I'm thinking about doing a little short video about that and showing you some of the stuff that people are saying about it. Don't engage. That might be my next video that I'll upload. That'll be a short video. Everybody take care and peace. Respect to you. Thank you, everybody. Peace. Have a good one. Peace. Thank you, everybody.
Information is power.
tell the truth.